Good evening and welcome to All for United WFC. I don't know if anyone got the intro there because it was my laptop was a bit slow to go live then. So hopefully it's gone live with a little bit of the intro anyway, playing into that. Anyway, technical difficulties as per usual on a Saturday Night Live. Wouldn't be Saturday Night Live without technical difficulties. Anyway, speaking of technical difficulties, hi Matt.
don't know why you out me for technical difficulties.
Well, it's usually you, mate.
To be fair, I had an absolute mare on Monday, pre-recording the Tuesday show, and Connor will tell you that. I was trying to say something, and twice my internet broke, and I come out very robotic, and that's not happened for a while. So, yeah, all technical difficulties aside, I'm not too bad, pal. Busy as per, same stuff, different day. But
is that your phone vibrating as well? Is that Colonel Foster?
No, it's not my phone. It's not Colonel Foster. I don't know. He's probably on his way back somewhere on a mad roundabout in Birmingham from his shift wherever he works these days. But no, it's good to be back in it. We're live. It's been a
few weeks, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it's been a couple of weeks at least, anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, spot on, pal.
Hello, Ellie in the comments. Hello, Robert in the comments. Nice to know, Rob, that you're finally on time as usual, mate. And our guest today is, of course, Connor. No stranger to the channel. How are we, Connor, mate?
I was just thinking before we went live that this is the first Saturday Night Live I think I've done.
I think it is.
I think I've been on so many shows on WFC, but I've never been on with you two. So, yeah, no, all good. All good. We won't talk about. I know Ellie's just mentioned it. We won't talk about United men's. Obviously,
no.
We'll avoid that. We'll talk about something.
I think we're all going to avoid match of the day tonight. I think it's safe to say. But anyway, should we get on with it? Anyway, I think we're going to call this one a bit of a Lionesses sort of special because, unfortunately, with no real United women's action, and obviously bits of United news that we ever had has been covered in other shows throughout the week. So we thought we'd just wrap this up to be a bit of a Lionesses special, bit of a countdown to the Euros, to the first game at Old Trafford, which ties in a little bit with United, I suppose, in a way, being that the game is, of course, at 32 Dreams. But a 10-0 win. And I know the same questions always pop up. I think the biggest question, and I'll come to Matt first, is what did we learn from that? What did we learn from a 10-0? It's good to see that Tony obviously got a hat-trick, maybe. What did we learn from a 10-0?
That we can win 10-0? You know what? I don't know. We'll get into this fully, but, I saw comments last night that said, it was great. The team played together, and it'd be good that for the Euros, bit of team bonding and getting used to playing with each other. And I thought, hang on, used to playing with each other. The squad's not changed that much since the last game or the last tournament, really, has it? So it's the same old OAPs getting picked sometimes. But yeah, I just think, I don't know. I don't know what you can massively take away from that, because in terms of clinicalness, I thought we could have scored more. In terms of defending / goalkeeping, we didn't gain anything from it. It's good to see Hannah Hampton get her 90 minutes in there. Yeah, Tooney got a hat trick. That's about it. I just think it was a little bit bizarre, and I know we're going to get into it properly, but I can't see. Yeah, I can't see too much that you can gain from it. I mean, listen, a win's a win, and we should never really complain, but we had something like, I think it said yesterday after the game, I think we had something like 40 shots and like 90% possession. So what you actually, I don't know what you're gaining from it, but there we go. There's my little 2 minutes worth.
Yeah, Connor, mate, as the banner says, should we have used a bit more of the under-23s, or is the manager right to be using our first team players, to bond them, to try and bond them together, to try and get a squad togetherness and a squad rhythm going into the Euros? Is that important, or do you think that, especially against these sort of teams that you are going to win 10-0, do you reckon we should have maybe looked to a little bit more to the future, and maybe blooding a few more of the younger generation through?
I can see both sides, to be honest. England would have learned absolutely nothing other than the fact that we're not very clinical, and that sounds ridiculous when you score 10, but we weren't. As Matt said there, I think we had like 40-odd shots, 15 on target, 10 goals. So you could argue the shots on target, most of them are going in, but to have 40 shots, only 15 on target, that's quite bad. And that sounds terrible coming away from a 10-0 win. But England would have learnt next to nothing from that. You don't learn anything by just walking. I think Macedonia had one shot, and I don't know what the possession stats were, but England just turned them over in a way, and it's like, what do you learn from that? Ella Toon obviously got a hat trick, really happy for her, obviously being a United player. But other than that, what would she have learned from that she wouldn't have learned on the training pitch playing against each other? So I get that, but I don't know. I think it's just it's a really weird one for me. I said I don't know whether we're going to get into it in this. Obviously, we spoke about it briefly last night on the fans forum in terms of the timing. Why now? Like, why couldn't they have done these after? And you get some bond and then going into the Euros if they play these afterwards. And I don't see why. Team bonding is important, but I don't know why that needed to be done on the pitch in terms of the match against Macedonia. Why couldn't you have done that maybe in training or somewhere else?
Absolutely. Just going back to Tooney though, Matt. I know you're a big fan of Tooney. You've always been a big advocate of her. But does this now maybe play to United hands a little bit now? She's found a goal scoring rhythm again. A hat trick against. I know it's only Macedonia. We can't obviously rant and rave about it too much. But do you think, as in terms of a club form where she's not being hit the net too frequently over the last few games, do you think that might do her confidence a little bit more? Is she going to come back the next couple of weeks to United?
I mean, yeah, listen, I don't think she's short of confidence. I think what people need to remember is she's not, some people argue she's a forward. Some people say she's a midfielder. For me, her best position is a 10. So whatever people want to call that, for me, that's an attacking midfielder. Now, Tooney's never really been one where she scores tons and tons of goals, whether that's WSL, or in Championship she did, to be fair, but that, again, it wasn't the level. If we're talking top level, she's never been an out-and-out goal scorer. We just relied on her a lot. So I think what's she on? 8 assists, 6 goals in the WSL. That for an attacking midfielder for me is not terrible. For a young player, for somebody that we shouldn't be looking to drag us through games that between her and Russo will probably do. I'm not too, not too concerned. I think, she's never short of confidence. Listen, getting a hat trick for your country, she loves playing for England, is fantastic. Can she bring that and get some more goals at club level? Hopefully. But if she doesn't, for me, it's not the end of the world, because her overall game, whether it's assisting, whether it's the chasing and the pressing, things like that, she's got other attributes. So, yeah, not over concerned. It would be nice to see more goals in United shirt. I'd absolutely love that, I'd prefer if she saved them, actually, for United shirt. And then after the season's finished, save them for the Euros, rather than these sort of little pointless training exercise games. But yeah, listen, I'll back Tooney all day long, whether it's goals, whether it's assists, even if she doesn't score. I think the Brighton game, a lot of people criticised her. I actually thought she had a very good game, and she didn't score in that game. So, yeah, pleasing to see it on the international stage though, because it's one where she broke in, and I think ever since she's got that first cap, she's been fantastic, and she's done really well.
She might want to forget her boots more often, mate. I think that's the
what?
Take there.
He left the ground after Brighton with them, so I don't know how they ended up in the hallway. I genuinely just gone home, put everything down, and ran out to the car that picked it up, because
must have done, mate.
Full of boots coming out of Lee against Brighton. Must have had about 3 or 4 pairs in there. So. Anyway,
must have done, mate. Anyway, I'm just going to bring up Norman's comment. She doesn't shoot enough for United. What do you take on that, Connor? Do you think she shoots enough for United? Considering what Matt says, she's not an out-and-out striker. An attacking midfield player that sometimes pops up here, then everywhere. She could be out wide on the wing 1 minute and then back in the centre again. Do you think she should shoot more for United? Do you think?
She doesn't, but neither does anyone else. It's not just her.
Yeah.
None of us, for some reason, it's clearly an instruction, which is fine if you score a lot of goals. But in tight games, Brighton being prime example, we've got players that can hit it from the edge of the box. Half of our midfield can do it. Obviously, Russo can do it. They've all got a good strike on them. So, yeah, I don't think she does shoot enough for United. But that's only been the last kind of couple of months. Because when we went on that run in, the kind of the 4-0, the 3-0, the 5-0 kind of the runs, obviously we'd get the first goal, the confidence was flowing, we'd get the first goal early on, and then they'd start shooting from distance and they'd start trying things. I think in these tighter games that we've had recently, it's all about just being a bit patient, which is fine if you get the result, but Yeah, I'd like to see her shooting a little bit more because she's got one hell of a strike, but it's not just her. Like I said, you look at Russo, you look at half of the midfield, they've got a decent strike on them. I'd like them just to, no, I'm not saying hit it from 30, 40 yards every time you get the ball, but if you're around the 18-yard box, why not? Give it a go, because if it goes over, great. And I'm not saying to do this in a tight game where it's 0-0 in the last few minutes of a game. You need composure there, not just hitting it from anywhere. But yeah, like I said, she doesn't shoot enough for United. But like I said, it's not just her. I don't think it's fair to put it just on her. But she's definitely got the ability to do it. It's just that kind of belief in herself sometimes in the United shirt to go for it.
Absolutely. Matt, now, of course, I will hold my hands up. I was at Old Trafford yesterday for the United's under-23s, so I didn't get to see England. But I did see a little bit of a meltdown when the teams were announced. Why wasn't Russo playing? Why is this person starting? What did you make of the starting 11 anyway, first and foremost, for England? Was it pretty much something that you expected, or was you thinking, Russo might get a bit of a chance, in form, playing a month, for the Barclays FAWSL, on a hot patch of form. Is there a better striker in the country, or is there a better English striker out there at the minute? Yes, I know Ellen White. I think she scored a 50th, was it, for England, 50th goal. So yes, she's always going to be thereabouts. But is it time now to maybe move a little bit now with the times and go for Russo instead of maybe Ellen White? That doesn't particularly always start for City, let's not forget.
Benny, I think you already know my answer, pal. The answer is yes. She is the best striker in England at the minute, the best number 9. She should be starting ahead of Ellen White, but Ellen White's goal-scoring record for England is very good, so I can see why Ellen White would start. I was in two minds. I usually look at lineups based on who we're playing. And to be fair, and I know we're going to get onto it shortly, I probably thought we should have rested a few more than we did. So in that respect, obviously Russo's played a hell of a lot for us. She looked knackered after coming off against Brighton. She puts in a hell of a shift. And I just think I wasn't bothered because it was Macedonia. I wasn't bothered that she was on the bench. And listen, I love her to bits, but I just think she needed that rest. So coming on for that final, 15, 20 minutes, didn't bother me in the slightest. If that was a game against Germany or a France or a bigger team and it was like a tournament game, then I'd been like, yeah, what the hell is going on? But I think the team yesterday for me was okay. Hampton got a goal. Obviously the back four was, that. I think the only person I would have maybe liked to see given a bit of a goal was somebody like a Jordan Nobbs that hasn't had much time to sort of come back from her injury and regular game time at Arsenal. So I think, bedding her in for the Euros, I would have liked to see, probably instead of Keira Walsh. Apart from that, I mean, listen, we could have rotated a few, Zellum, Gabby George, Paris, they all could have started, even Jill Scott. And I know I criticise her a lot for being undeserving of a place, but I just think it was Macedonia. We should have rotated. Now, there's been a lot of talk for 23s, which I'll get onto later, but I just think for the players that started, did we really need to, risk, as we said on sort of the tweets and on this scrolling thing below, did we really need to risk player fatigue? Toon is another one. Played a hell of a lot, run herself to the ground. Did we need to play against Macedonia when we knew we were going to batter them and we were going to get the win? Was it necessary? You could argue that for, many players, but obviously I'm only going to pick out the United ones mainly. But, I just think we've got to think about it. And I know players can get injured in training and whatever, but if somebody would have got a serious injury yesterday because Macedonia didn't take no prisoners and they missed the Euros and that's a key player, it's kind of like, well, what the hell we do? I could accept somebody getting injured in training because that's bound to happen. Do you know what I mean? But if it's in a pointless game like that, and let's say somebody would have got a serious injury and it was like a 3 to 6 month job or longer, it's just like, was it worth it? Probably not, but...
Sorry, just to jump in quickly on that. Does that not follow on from the conversation that we had on the panel yesterday then, in terms of talking about player fatigue, in terms of the timing of these games? Like, it's, if we're not going to rotate, why put them now 3 games from the end? I think Barry made the point yesterday. You got Chelsea and Arsenal going for the title, United and City going for top 3. Why have they done it 3 games from the end of the season? There's only 3 games left. Do them mid to late May. Why now?
Yeah. I think on that though, because I replied to you then on this, Connor, and I think you mentioned it in our group chat, and I said the thing is, because the Euros was delayed, we've got to get the 2023 World Cup qualifying games in. And it's when do you get them in? I mean, listen, it's a fair point, and I take it, but I'm just thinking if you look at it, it's already packed, and we already have these stupid friendlies as well, which, by the way, I don't agree with. We could have put the qualifying games instead of friendlies and then cracked on. But now what's happened, like you've rightly said, is that we've got, 3 games left. We've got to fight for Champions League squad and hope our squad stays fit. And that's not just the ones playing for England. That's all the other internationals. I noticed Carrie Jones got a knock yesterday, thinking of that. And then from there, we've then got a bit of time off before we've got to go into the Euros. We've got to go back into the WSL, finish off these qualifiers for a World Cup, what's going to be on us very, very soon. And that's due to the delayed Euros that we're playing catch up. And then that's that. So I genuinely don't know is the answer. But I do think, in my view anyway, that's why they've done them. Whether the timing's right is a different discussion, but I do genuinely believe that they do need to fit them in. So
it's never an ideal time for international breaks. We say this even in the men's game. Oh God, another international break. You dread it.
Yeah, but the friendlies are a waste. So that's
they are a waste. That's what I was going to come on to. I said, when you're having a friendly, yes, I know that other nations and have their own. Have their own sort of agendas and have their own calendars, and some of them are World Cup qualifiers, some of them are in friendly matches. But surely the point of a friendly for me, especially when you build up to a big tournament, surely you want to be playing some of the best teams in and around Europe, if not Europe, but the world. Like in Brazil, I don't know. I don't know what their international schedule's like. I don't know whether they're in World Cup qualification games. I don't know. But surely you want to play, just test your hand against, because it's the Euros, so you're not going to play Brazil in the Euros. So surely you'd go and test yourself against some of maybe the best that South America have got, the best of the Australians might have, of Australia maybe, they have a decent women's national side, instead of someone like a Macedonia, what's that teaching us, That's the type of game that you'd have as a pre-season friendly, wouldn't you? Really, not a game that's sort of gearing you up to a major tournament. I mean, Connor, am I just being a bit stupid that way, or is it important, do you think, to play teams of lesser quality to maybe sort of maybe just kickstart everything? Because obviously it could be. I suppose from an international point of view, especially from a management's point of view or a coach's point of view, it's very, very disruptive, when you've only got these group of girls for maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks tops, and then they're back into the club football for a few more weeks. What do you make of it all, mate?
Yeah, I mean, you're opening up a whole conversation here because like I said, I'm not a fan. I don't think either team. You've got to do them because you can't just say to North Macedonia you're not qualifying. Like you have to play these games at some point. I get that. I just don't see the benefit, and this isn't England's fault. This isn't anything. This is the funding elsewhere, and I said that's a whole other conversation in terms of the funding for these countries and getting those countries up to a level where they compete. Mm-hmm. You're always going to play somebody better or worse. So, but the gap. It's just North Macedonia would have learned nothing yesterday. From that game, because they're just chasing shadows for most of for 90 minutes. They're not learning anything from the game. The same for England. They're not going to learn anything because the only way to improve as a player, I've always people may disagree or whatever. The only way to improve is to play better opposition, because then you have to improve. You have to improve your level to match that. So yeah, I'm not a fan. Like I said, it's just. I get they need to be played. I get this whole thing, but I agree with what Matt and what yourself said. Why have the friendlies then? We had 4 weeks off for Christmas. Why, if they knew there was a delay and they knew there were these games to be played, scrap the winter break, stick them in there. There was opportunities. I'm not buying this. There wasn't time. There was. We didn't need these friendlies, and the friendlies for me are just so people can stack their credits with the FA, so you can get your England credits and go, oh well, I've been to this many games, so I've got tier 2 access or tier 1 access for England aways. That's how the men's works anyway. I'm not too sure what the Lionesses, but it's just for stacking your credits. So yeah, I'm just not a fan. Not a fan with that. It's more the timing that's annoyed me more than anything. Like I said, because it's not needed when you've had friendlies all season. Especially at the start of September to December time, you had a lot of international friendlies. Stick these qualifiers then, because I said you can't just say you're not having them. They've got to be played, but not now. It's just like, what if Alatuna come off injured yesterday and then we don't get top three, based on a couple more injuries that we might get? Nah. Not one for me.
You know what annoys me though, Benny? They do these bloody ones. Like, I think, we had one after like 2-3 games at the start of the season. We have one right near Christmas as well.
Yeah.
It's just like, it winds it. I get that they need to put content and stuff out there on socials, but I couldn't give two hoots watching Mary Earps wrap some presents or Katie Zellum sat chucking a turkey down her face. Do you know what I mean? That's what winds me up, because I think you don't care about the friendlies. You've got them in to do somebody video, and I know they haven't, but it feels like they have. Like, they just chuck out something and say, "Oh yeah, we're playing bloody, I don't know, Spain in a friendly," and then we're gonna watch fucking Zellum and Stanway crack shit jokes out of crackers. Like, that's the bit that winds me up, because it feels like they get them all together and say, "Oh well, we've had our final Christmas dinner together." Yeah, well, we're not here to socialize. We're here to work, and they're getting paid for this, and it's obviously different to the men because they keep the money. But I think for me, I think Musovic, the Chelsea goalkeeper, she tweeted, because I think, did Holland win 12-0?
I'm not sure, mate. You'd be able to tell me.
I think Holland won 12-0 because I know Miedemar scored 6. I think Sweden won 15-0 and we won 10. And she said, where is the benefit for those teams that lost? And the whole qualifying thing needs looking at. I think the last time this happened, when we played Latvia, somebody said those smaller countries should all be put in a group or a region or something together, so that at least they're not just turning up for the sake of it. If you had a group of Cyprus, Macedonia, Latvia, whoever else, that struggles, put them in different groups or a group together, depending on how many smaller teams there are, and let some of them actually make a knockout stage or qualify for a tournament, that'll be a little bit better for their development. That'll probably boost the football in their country as well. If they knew they were likely to win a game, they'd probably see more numbers attending as well. And I know I'm going a little bit off topic here, but it's for the greater good of the game. Nobody wants to see, as good as it was winning the game, nobody wants to see us going just smashing teams for the sake of it. Because I'm sure commentary said yesterday, if we pick up a result against Northern Ireland, then we're through. And it's like the goal difference is like plus 63. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, sorry, just one more quick point. It's very, very quick. I think just off the back of that, if you obviously on this particular topic, it's probably worth it people go and watch yesterday's show as well. So we had Kirsty on from Malta. Obviously, she was talking about her experiences playing with the Malta national side. And obviously, they're a similar kind of, when you mentioned in Latvia and North Macedonia, that kind of team that gets smashed, pretty much every qualifier. They only lost 2-0 to Denmark, to be fair to them. But she was saying, from a losing team, so you don't learn anything. Like, you're just chasing around, and you met over time if the funding's there, but it's just a waste of time, and it's just not a good thing for either set of squads. Sorry, Benny.
No, I was just going to ask, is it all seeded, these qualification rounds, by the way? Are the big teams kept apart?
I've no idea. If you look at our group of Austria, Northern Ireland, Luxembourg, Macedonia, Latvia, you'd suggest yes, but I genuinely.
But just when you was just mentioning about these lesser nations going into a group together, the only other way that I could think of making it fair is unseeding a whole lot, and then like England could go up against France, Belgium, whoever it may be. Your bigger nations. Obviously, I know from a UEFA and from a FIFA point of view, when it comes to the World Cup, they want the biggest and best nations there. But however, especially with these smaller nations, we should maybe say, listen, they're going to get topped every game. Let's put them in a group so at least one or two of them could qualify out of that group and can make a major tournament. And tournament football is an amazing thing, because you never know what happens in tournament football sometimes. We've seen it before, the really, really lesser teams, or you think they're lesser teams, could have a cracking tournament because they play like they've got nothing to lose, which is a good thing. They're just enjoying themselves. They're there for a good time, And if we're not giving these teams a chance, and they're getting absolutely spanked every week, by the likes of England, your Hollands and your Swedens and whatever else, it's not really doing them any good, is it, either? And it's not doing any of the players any good either. They're not able to gain that experience of playing on a big European or a big world stage. So it is something that's got to be looked at. And I suppose. Go on, sorry, Matt.
No, I was going to say, I think, like you say, obviously you do want your big teams there. You know, you're not going to go to a tournament now if it's full of like Faroe Islands and Luxembourg and stuff like that. But I think if you look at the World Cup, obviously that's sort of split, isn't it, into like the regions.
Yeah.
So you've got like the Asia, I can't even speak, the Asia. Then you've got like your African countries. You know, you've got Europe, South America, all playing. They qualify through basically playing like local teams, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah.
You know, it's like we never play, say, for example, Brazil in a World Cup qualifier because Brazil will be with like Uruguay, Argentina, Ecuador, Chile, and so on. Whether that could come into the women's game, maybe, you know, obviously for a World Cup or a Euros, we're talking both tournaments here. I'd need to find out more, like I say, and like you asked, I don't know if it's seed. I don't know how it's done, but there's definitely a way that they can make that better. And listen, we all know how corrupt FIFA and UEFA are anyway. I'm sure they can rig it and just be like, yo, use it together. Fancy that. I'm sure I wouldn't put it past it.
It's true. It's true.
I know that's silly talk, but
you know, you're right, though. You're right. We know the governing bodies aren't exactly the most trustworthy of people at times, are they? But let's be fair as well. I'm going to spin this on its head as well, because obviously in women's football, I think a lot of women's fans are not as maybe tribal as Manchester United fans. You know, I think a lot of them actually prefer watching the national side, the Lionesses, the England team. Did you think that maybe we see so many of these like pointless friendlies and all these big international breaks as well, to maybe pander to these fans a little bit more than the club side of things, because obviously the women's game, I think, is geared more to the women's side. You know, a bit like it is in America, really, where it seems to be their club sides are absolutely tosh, but once the Americans in their national team, you know, that's it. That's everything to them. Am I being silly or am I being right?
I actually think, as much as, and everyone knows my thoughts on internationals, as much as I really dislike them, from a women's football point of view, they will grow the game more than I think club football will. Mm-hmm. Just because of I don't quite know the best way of saying it, but let's see, for example, the Euros in the summer. There is no doubt in my mind that attendances will peak after the Euros in this country, because of the Euros obviously being here. So on that sense, at these kind of games, it does help bring a new audience to the women's game. So like I said, that is the one plus, particularly in women's football for internationals, you know, and having it in, you know, obviously in North Macedonia and these kinds of places, it's getting new eyes on the sport, and that will then translate into ticket sales, hopefully for the club side, because you'll watch, I don't know, let's say you watch England, for example, you fall in love with Tooney or Russo, whoever you're watching, you go, oh, well, you know, Manchester's only half an hour away, I might go watch United, and you start from there. So I think that's the one benefit of having these. As much as I don't like them, it's good for actually growing the game, because international will grow it a lot more than I think club level will.
See, I was the other way around, Connor, you see. I knew Tooney and saw Russo and fell in love with... That sounds wrong, doesn't it? Oh, no, jokes aside, obviously, from knowing Tooney and watched her England under-17s was the first time, and Russo was in that squad, and it was the World Cup in Jordan, and that's how I first came across Russo, as obviously one of her England teammates. Obviously, this was miles before United. I think it was 2016, maybe, somewhere around that, 16 or maybe even 2017. So a while back. But I do think, Benny, like in comparison to the men's internationals, there's a lot more love and support for the Lionesses. Now, in terms of the friendlies, whether that's anything to do with central contracts and money, I do wonder, because obviously the central contracts pretty much pick your squad, which is why Jill Scott's still getting in somehow. And yeah, there's not a lot changes, and I know we'll go on to sort of that and 23 shortly, but yeah, I do like, listen, I'll sit here and I'll happily say, because I've said it before and I've tweeted about it, you know, I don't mind watching the Lionesses, you know, I'm not against it. I do, like Connor, get rattled by the pointless friendlies, but you know, if there's an opportunity to go and watch it, you know, it is what it is. I'll happily go and, you know, and watch. But yeah, I just feel there's a whole different vibe, and like Connor said, in terms of building audiences and eyes on it and getting people into your club, it is a better model. And I think another thing is there's never really been huge expectations from the Lionesses. We've already sort of accepted that in the World Cup, were always second fiddle to America, and in the Euros were potentially behind the likes of Germany and France. But I think if you look at the men's side, there's sort of the arrogance, isn't there? And there's the expectation that we should be winning everything, we should be doing better. And this, it's the thing into its same old letdowns, and that always comes about. There it is. Look at Rob piping up. I will show off my England shirt with pride, Robert. But yeah, I just think there's a whole different dynamic in sort of women's internationals to men's. For the majority of women's football fans, I can't speak for everyone there, but I will say it does feel different, and it just feels better. Like I can happily, like I say, go to a Lioness game. If you stuck me to a men's game, unless it was a tournament, I couldn't give two hoops. Like, do you know what I mean? I've done England games with the men. Like I said, I'd rather watch something like a Euros or a World Cup, but anything else, any qualifiers, any friendlies, I couldn't care less. And I just don't get that feeling with Lionesses. So, yeah.
Just quickly, just to make a very, very, very quick point. Rob Kent obviously has just put that comment in there. Can we make an agreement then, Rob? I hope you agree to this. If England win the Euros this summer, Rob will come on a show for the first one of next season.
With an England shirt on, with Zellum on the back.
He doesn't come on shows, does he, Rob? He's always in the comments, bless him. So if
we'll even let you wear a Mercedes hat on as well, mate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if we win, it's got to be a performance, not a performance. An appearance on AFU with an England shirt with Zellum, whatever number she's on back.
Yeah, we'll use Mercedes hat. We'll allow you the Mercedes hat.
We'll use Mercedes hat, and we'll even bring a translator to get rid of that horrible Stoke accent. And we'll pay for it.
I like it. I like that.
Got to wind him up.
Let's move on to the captaincy anyway. Steph Horton was always going to get replaced as captain. I think she's going to struggle to make this tournament as it is. Not playing a lot of football. I don't think she's going to play any settled football before, unless I'm very much mistaken, before the start of the tournament.
Here we go.
Go on. Deal. Well done, lad. Well done. Thank you for cutting me out mid-sentence. Anyway, I was going to ask. Matt, right decision, Leah Williamson, captain, or would you like that to be in somebody else?
I have no issues with it. I think what's important, and I tweeted this the other day, it's important that it's what's the word, ironed out or sorted now. I think, like you said, the uncertainty with Steph maybe not making it, even when she has been fit, she's not always been first choice, which is fair enough. And I just feel like you don't want to go into a major tournament and people are like, is Steph going to be fit? Who's the captain? It's questions, isn't it? You want to avoid them. You don't want to be asking who's going to be captain, who's going to be playing, is Steph going to make it, is Steph not going to make it, who should have it. We've got it out the way now. Leah is a leader and a good choice. Still young, so people could argue, why didn't Bronze get it or Bright, because they're a little bit more experienced. But I just think Leah's going to be the mainstay of that centre half for at least another 8-9 years, I'd say. What is she, 23, 24? She's more than capable for leading that side now for that period of time. So, yeah, no issues with that. I think it's a good choice. She demands respect. She's been in that squad now for a while. She's played Champions League and won things with Arsenal. Very good defender, good communicator, everything you'd want from a captain, a leader, somebody that, despite being a young player, isn't afraid to give their opinion or, voice whatever they need to on the pitch. So, yeah, pleasing to see that it's been dealt with, and a good choice in my view from Serena.
I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Serena's been very to the point and very much, with the whole captaincy thing, it's very much like, this is going to be, who the captain is moving forward. And that's critical, because you wouldn't want to get close to the Euros still not knowing, who your captain's going to be. And she said, I'll get your words out. Did the same with Mary Earps as well. Straight away just came out and said Mary Earps is number one. Just flat out said it. And that's what I like with Serena. She seems to be just making decisions and sticking to it. Whether she's right or wrong, people can have their own opinions. But that's the one quality I like in managers, when they make a decision and just be bold and just stick with it. And that's what she seems to have done since she's come in, which is really good to see. So it's critical to get that out of the way before the Euros, because like Matt said, you wouldn't want to going into the tournament going, is there questions over who it is and all those kinds of things. So I'm just glad she's come out and said who it is and ended that debate, really.
I think on that as well, that'll give players a lot of confidence, because if you're Mary Earps now and you hear you're number one, you'd be absolutely bouncing off the roofs, because you're thinking, right, well, I've had a great season again at club level. I've worked my way back into the England squad under Serena. Same for Leah. I'm sure that again, just like we said, puts everybody's mind at ease. But it's that little confidence boost. It just shows, doesn't it? It's great to hear from a manager. Oh yeah, my trust is in Mary. She's my number one. Like Connor said, it's just basic decision making. You don't want any doubts or anything like that. Not at a tournament. You just want to go in there, clear head. Everybody knows the role and what they're doing, what's expected. Everybody knows who the vice captain is. Everybody knows who takes set pieces, stuff like that. And yeah, I will give credit on that, because that's exactly what you want from a manager.
I don't know. Is she the long-term captain now, with the World Cup on the horizon as well, or is that being taken off Steph Horton completely now?
Yeah, it's completely off Steph and permanently on Leah.
Probably time. I don't get all the fuss over Steph Horton. I'm sorry if I upset anyone, but she should have been out of the team 2 years ago.
She's not been what she was since her husband became ill for me.
Listen. That's always going to be a given, isn't it? You know what sort of stress.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm since I watched women's football, she hasn't really impressed me overly too much. Anyway, I'm thinking. I look at it, go, England captain. Are you sure? And again, no disrespect, because I know she has been a top player in the past, but you look at it now and I'm like, not for me. We're going to move it on to 23s, because Matt's so desperate to talk about the 23s.
I just thought you'd forgotten.
No. I just wanted to get the captaincy out of the way, because I knew it was going to be a quick little segment, So the 23s, Matt, I'm going to let you start off with it, because you'll know more than me and Connor. I'm sure of it anyway. Go on. Give us a couple of bright stars that we should be looking out for. Or it might be one of our picks for the Euros as well. You never know. If we get one or two injuries before then.
Yeah. No, I think... cool, where do we start? I think Jess Park has had a very, very good season for Man City this year. She'd be my pick to look out for. I'm pretty sure after last weekend that everybody's well aware of Maya Letitia at Brighton. Obviously you've got Ebony Salmon in there as well. I could go on, pal. There's quite a few. LJ's been obviously in the side when fit, but I think Jess Park for me and Letitia are probably the two that, with Salmon, or the three in that case, that stand out. But I just feel like, and I mentioned this the other day, I just feel like we're playing Macedonia. Why couldn't we have at least taken some of them with us? Like, there was injuries, and what have we done? We've called up Gabby George. They're fighting relegation. What the hell has she done for Everton that warrants an England place? Yes, she was in there years ago.
Yeah.
But why couldn't we have looked and thought, well, hang on, let's have a look what we've got in the 23s, right? Well, we've got this player, got Gabby George. She's supposedly replaced Greenwood, that's a left back. Now, Gabby George can play left back or centre half. Letitia can do the same. We could have had Poppy Pattinson at left back. We could have had Pacheco at left back. There was better options and better opportunities for me to take 23s, because at the end of the day, when are they going to make that step up? If they're making the step up, they're going to go in there with no experience. Now, if you're obviously comparing 23s tournament football to senior level, it's miles apart. And that's not just mentally, that's physically, that's everything. So, and we've talked about this in terms of like devs and first team at club level, but I just feel like the games against the Macedonias, the Luxembourgs, the Latvias, then we could have mixed it up. Obviously, Austria and Northern Ireland are stronger teams, so we go in and we respect them. But I just feel like, I'm not saying the whole team, but taking 3 players, 4 players, even for the experience, if they're not going to get on the pitch, do you know what I mean? Have them make the step up, because that's what your team's about. I'll let Connor come in and then we'll carry on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, would we have played any worse if, let's say, Maz or Maya Letitia in there, or like you said, Jess Park, or somebody like that? Would we have played any worse against North Macedonia with all 3 of those in there? And I think that the issue that you come to is you risk losing some of these players. There's already talk at the moment, people that I speak to in and around with Matt, I don't know whether I should be saying it, with Maz, changing her nationality to the Philippines, obviously, because she can change over there as well. So you risk losing players. Now, that's just one example, but there are a couple of, you see it in the men's all the time with players changing nationality because they're not going to get into the England side. Like, I don't know, that's the one big mistake for me, because I don't think, like you said, in games like this, why would we did not need Lauren Hemp and all these players, the top tier players playing in those games, because we'd have won anyway, regardless of playing some of those.
It's happened recently. Hannah Kane represented England at youth level all the way up to 23s, and she now plays for Wales through her grandfather. You know, there's been talk of Lauren James switching nationalities. I'm pretty sure, although I might be wrong on this, I'm pretty sure Rinsola Babajide has changed nationalities, and she was another England under 23. So it's like you say, you don't want to lose the young talent you have, especially when a lot will qualify through family. I just can't work out like why you wouldn't change it, especially when it's, you know, quality young players like obviously Connor mentioned there, you know, with Pacheco. Very bizarre.
And it's not like they're inexperienced. They play week in, week out in the WSL.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're throwing in, like say, for example, the devs, they're playing against people, you know, girls their own age and that kind of thing. So there is the jump from the devs to the first team. But when you're talking England, I'm going to use Maz as an example again. She's been with Reading, with West Ham, with Villa. Like she can do it. But why? I don't get it personally. It's not a big jump to play in these games. She'll get tougher games in the WSL that she's getting that she would have got, you know, yesterday, for example.
What can the FA do though? Because if you look at it, you look at it from both points of view, from the men's and the women's side. Look how many quality England players are coming through. You know, you look at the men's sort of side where they've won tournaments at under 18 level, I think it is, and under 23 level. They've won whatever under 21s. I can't remember what it is. They've won tournaments. How do we ensure the next generation gets the chances instead of I think we lost Connor for a minute. Instead of always picking the same people like your Jill Scott. No disrespect, man. Naff her off. She's about 100 years old now. That space could be easily for someone like your Maz, like your. Oh, sorry, I'll get with John on there. Sorry. Do we not end up giving caps out like confetti? Surely English should mean something. Yeah, exactly. But how are we supposed to blood in the new generation now? Well, what's the perfect answer to it, Matt? Is there a perfect answer?
Genuinely don't know. I want to just touch on John's comment first. I think, you know, he's spot on. An England cap should mean something. And I think for me, and this is across men's and women's football, you know, you should get a call up based on merit and if you're deserving of it. I couldn't give two hoots what your club is, you know, whether you're lower down or up and out. Obviously, you know, you've got to be in form. You've got to be, you know, doing well at club, which usually is the top players. But I just think there's so many that get overlooked because they're at, like, say, you know, an Aston Villa as opposed to Chelsea or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, Pacheco's been class for Villa this year, and she should be in there ahead of Stokes for me. You know, some people may disagree, but I just think, yes, a cap should mean something. In terms of how do we solve it, I don't know, because the trouble is with that 23 team, they don't play a lot, do they? Like, there's not... You look at it, and like, for example, and Benny, you were there, we went to watch England under 19s in a tournament.
Yeah.
Now, I think the 23s, they only have that Nordic thing. I don't even know how often that is. There's not enough. There's never, you know, enough competition in terms of like Euros, World Cup. So whether increasing competitions or something like that, you know, the 19s and 20s have it. And I think is there another one? Might be lower down, might be the younger age groups. But I just feel like if we're going to look at it seriously, we either promote them to the senior team slowly, or we put on quite a few tournaments and let them get tournament experience and then sort of work between, maybe promote a few, you know, because I look at it now, Sandy McKeever's been involved with the seniors, then she's dropped to 23, then she's been the seniors. If we need to flip between the two to do that, then so be it. But at the minute, it seems that only goalkeepers are getting that chance. And that's either due to lack of form or injury. You know, Roebuck was injured. We had McKeever with Mary and then Hannah Hampton, you know, or somebody comes back and somebody's demoted. There's no in between. So I do think maybe increasing the amount of games or tournament. And I know that's going to sound funny after we've just been criticising international breaks. But if you've got a senior one in there, we may as well get something worthwhile for the 23s rather than a pointless friendly against bloody Kazakhstan or something.
I like this what John Hume's saying here, but I don't have any faith in this in anything coaching, anything hierarchy to do that. Me and Matt have been on about this for a good while. Fair enough, I put my hands up. I'm still pretty new to the women's game, still pretty new to the national scene, but even I know it's the same team over and over and over and over again. It's the same recycled team. It's never any like.
But that's the central contract.
Never any wild cards. Sometimes. I know men's football works differently. Sometimes you always get that wild card that goes to a major tournament.
Yeah,
And we had it in the past with Theo Walcott, for example. There's always that sort of one youngster, and then they sort of shine in this tournament. I know you're on about his central contracts. It's time to rip that shit up as well.
Oh, I agree. Listen, I'm fully for.
I'm thinking, how can we get this new talent in? I mean, Connor, we speak loads to obviously people that watch the reserve team football at United level, at club level, how hard it is to get at club level from the 23s and to get into the United's first team. And it seems like the jump from what Matt said, from the 23s to the England senior side in the women's games, even bigger than it is in the men's games, to jump from your 23s to your club side. What is the perfect answer? Do you have one? Do you think the FA needs to sit down and have a look at maybe restructure the sort of academy side of the football, especially when it comes to the national teams?
Yeah, I mean, you add, again, this is like Matt said, it's going to sound a bit contradictory to what I was saying, but you add more games in for the under-23s, for England, because if they're not going to get the game time, then, like you said, you risk losing these players and they'll go off and play for different nationalities that they're eligible for, because why should they miss out on playing for a national side? I mean, it's a weird one. I agree with you, Ben. I don't know anything. I let Matt go after me, on these central contracts, so I don't know anything about them. But it seems to me like, for example, like yesterday, and the games over this international break, like I keep saying, we would not have played any worse, and we won't play any worse if you put Maz or Maya in there or Jess Parr, whoever it is. If anything, we might play a little bit better because they'll want to prove themselves even more. They'll be trying to put, have a point to prove. Whereas, I think did Mead score 4 yesterday?
Yeah,
I think it's like, that's good for her, and great for her. I'm going to call it stat padding, but it's nothing. I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I think if you throw some youngsters in there, it's a massive thing for them, and I'm sure it is for the England girls. Obviously, at the the top, with Beth Mead and Tooney obviously scoring a hat trick as well. But I think if you put one or two, I'm not saying ditch the whole squad, make a whole team of 23s, but just 2 or 3, give them that experience of going and just traveling with the first team, and just throw them in with these games. There's no harm in it, in my opinion.
Do you know 2 things though, Benny? One is going back to this what John mentioned. I think in the women's game is a hell of a lot of sentiment, and I think we talk about. I mean, John mentioned that about putting the older generation to bed after that. Fully agree, and I do think that's because it's a home Euros. Let's get Steph and let's get Jill Scott and let's get bloody whoever else that's got one leg, just because it's a home tournament. Who cares? Players have got to go when the time's up. For me, anyway. Regarding central contracts, I agree with you, Benny. They do need ripping up, and I've been saying this for years now because it's an absolute killjoy in terms of going forward. I think when they came in, they were great because you were guaranteed the money for the 12-month contract that you had. Players weren't all professional or didn't get paid very much. Times are now changing, and I think it's time to get rid of them. We've got the money there now. Your squad should pretty much pick itself. And like you said, you mentioned Theo Walcott. Without central contracts, then we were able to do that. But then they feel like they have to give out another central contract, and then that player, is tied down for 12 months. Whereas I think if they were paid per appearance or per call-up, maybe per call-up, because then you know what I mean. If you're a youngster and you don't get on the pitch, you're paid per call-up, then that's absolutely fine. And it's a level playing field, and there's no central contract this. Because again, if you're a youngster, you're not going to be earning much anyway. So if you can get that little bit extra from England, fantastic. And you shouldn't have to be tied to 12 months anywhere. So, yeah, I mean, again, central contracts is an entirely different show. But I just think bin them off, bin off these Jill Scotts and these other people that are just there. Do you know what I mean? For wasting energy and time for everybody and blocking people's spots. Let's move forward. Hopefully, like John says, after the Euros, bin the ones off that we don't need. And that there about 3 players as well that shouldn't be there is spot on too.
It's definitely changing. I just want to make a quick point on what you're saying there in terms of the sentimentality. If you went in, let's say, into a pub, you asked 200 people who don't watch women's football, name an English Lioness player, you're going to get Lucy Bronze, you're going to get Steph Horton, you're going to get Ellen White, you're going to get one of those names just because they are the names you've been hearing or seeing. over the last kind of decade. So what you're saying there, I think, is bang on, because any new fans coming in, those names. It's slightly changing now because people are hearing Tooney's name. You're hearing players like that. So it is slightly changing, but there is still that kind of old factor that you only know the old-fashioned stars, I'll call them, because they're still good players. But it's time for, like you said there, after the Euros, let's get some of these younger players. And I think after the Euros it will, because like you said, you're hearing Tooney's name now, obviously Russo from United point of view, obviously Hemp, and all these other players that you'll start to see as well.
Somebody actually mentioned prior to the I think it would have been the World Cup, I think 2018, and somebody mentioned on Twitter the other day the England squad for them, and there was likes of Jamie Vardy in there and a few other older heads, and they compared it to the team now where we've got Bellingham, Foden, Grealish, Rashford, and the comparison was unreal. Like, you look at it now and you compare our England men's team now to that team from the last World Cup in 2018. This one for me on talent alone is miles ahead. It just shows that actually, like you said, whilst you may have grown up with your likes of, your Jill Scott, your Steph, your Bronzes, Farrah Williams when she was in there, Karen Bardsley's, you do. But it's like the men's, we all grew up on here with, your Lampards, your Scholeses, your Beckhams, people like that, David Seaman. Times have got to change. And I just think now, like you say, it's time for new household names. Your Tooneys, Frank Kirby will be in there anyway. Your Leah Williamson, your Kira Walshes, people like that now with the next generation. And we've had what we've had from them players. And now we've got to crack on. It's exactly the same when we won the bronze medal. And we had the likes of Siobhan Chamberlain and people like that. We've just got to now crack on, Jodie Taylor was another one. Sean in 2017. But you've got to crack on and change it up.
I think England teams have always been like that, even in the men's team. There was always picked on name and not maybe reputation and not on maybe club form or form of the last 12 to 18 months, And that's the big part of the reason why I turn off international football, because I think it's just picked on names. And I get why what you're saying about the Euros in this country, people who know the names of Jill Scott. I couldn't give two hoots, man. She's not good enough. Binner. Get someone in that's young that these people that are going to pay to watch England play, because we all know that people are going to travel up and down the country to watch England play. Let's give them a next generation superstar. Not superstar. It's a bit too bold of me, but let's give them a next generation player where they can see that they've stepped into a European Championship. That's a bit of a call out the wild, but and then as they progress the tournament, they may make that tournament their own.
But think about this, Benny. That tournament in Scotland, we saw Lauren Hemp that's now a regular. So what does that tell you? It needs to be done more.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get you. You still need your experienced heads. You still need your experienced players. But there's some players that your Jill Scotts, that's a wasted place for me. Bring somebody in that's a little bit fresh, that's a little bit new, a little bit, or even someone that's been on the cusp of the England team, that's been in and out, like you said, and maybe they've dropped down to 23s again. But maybe they deserve another opportunity, Jill Scott's going to do is warm the bench and maybe be a glorified cheerleader. Maybe come on for the last 5 minutes on a game. What a waste is that? Steph Orton, don't bring her. I don't care if she's 2% fit and I don't care. Keep her away from the squad. She can be a glorified cheerleader in the stands. I don't care. I don't want to see her named in the squad. But I've got a feeling sentimentality should be 2% fit or 5% fit. We'll give you a home tournament, Steph. We'll give you a home tournament. No. And that's what really pisses me off about international football. Get gone. You're not fit enough. We've seen it with the men. We've seen it with the men. When we're praying for David Beckham, wasn't fit enough. Shouldn't have really gone. Wayne Rooney's bros, but wasn't fit enough. Didn't play a lot of club football. Shouldn't have really gone. Let's give people that are fit enough, that have had a good year or two in football, that have been really shining at club level, and have done really well for the England team if they've been called up and played in friendlies and qualifications and that. Just give them another chance. Give people something to be excited about. That's the problem as well. I think sometimes you can swing it the other way around. Yes, it's your familiar faces, but then some people might be turned off by that and going, well, it's the same boring players again. I've seen on the white about 50,000 times now. When's the next crop coming up? When's the list? When's Russo going to be out and out number 9?
Yeah.
You know, not just as an example. I'm not trying to be United biased here, but just for example, you know. You know what I mean? I don't know, mate. You know me. I'm not a big international fan. I don't particularly like England. I don't like the fans. The fans are absolute twits in both men's and women's games. I can't give a stuff about them, really.
That's Matt burning his England shirts.
No disrespect, Matt. No disrespect. But, you know,
hey, listen,
I'm going to go to Old Trafford, yeah. I'm enjoying myself. I'm going to take my son, you know, something to experience, a European tournament, you know, in a backyard, you know. Not necessarily the biggest England fans in the world, but yes, we'll enjoy ourselves. We'll get there. We'll try and get the biggest, you know, try and get a big attendance going now as well. I hope for the sake of, because this tournament is in this country, that we sell out as many stadiums as we possibly can, or near enough fill out all the stadiums as we possibly can. And just inspire the next generation of girls that are coming through, that are coming to these tournaments and watching it. But I do feel it. You won't inspire them by having grannies on the field that can't run, can't jump, they can't score. They'll come on for 5 minutes to be little cheerleaders with the pom-poms. No, let's do it properly. Let's do it properly. Yeah, let's put an England side out there that we're proud of, and then we could say football's really coming home. Because that's what we want. We want football to come home, don't we? Yeah, we want England to win a major trophy. You know, the Lionesses to win a major trophy. We don't want to come second. We don't want to come bronze. We don't want to do a Phil Neville and win the She Believes, and then, even though you know, Phil Neville is a god amongst England managers there, because he's actually won some silverware. He's won a pot. You know, I don't care if it is the Charity Shield. You know, but you know what I'm saying. I know. You know, Matt, come on, back me up. Hey, bro, Trafford, lad, come on.
Listen. Right, I do agree. Like, I get what you're saying. And just to put it out there, I don't do any of that fucking air horn shit, Mexican wave, fucking shake hands with Phil next to you, or hug bloody Barbara behind, or whatever little antics to get up to. That
don't you think Auld Lang Syne either, no?
No, mate, listen, I don't even sing the national anthem and do all that like some people do either. I start fucking praying, mate. I just go watch the game and crack on. But what I will say is, like, you know, if you look at the likes of, and again, I'm going back to that tournament, the Spains, the Germanys that were all in that tournament against England, look at those players that all play together, that all go up together, and then look what we do. Like I said, from that under-19s 3 years ago, I think there's, I'm sure there's only Lauren Hemp that's made the senior team that I can think of. So, you know, it just goes to show that we've not got that process like the Germans, like the Spanish, people like that. You know, the French are having to rebuild currently because some of their players are getting on, you know. Other countries and other nations are catching them up. Holland are a little bit 50-50 at the minute. Still got a couple of the old heads there. But yeah, it's the process, and we've got to catch up with it, because like you said, we can't keep players in there sentimentally, whether they can run or not. They just shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, and just quickly as well, the excuse, I say excuse, you need experience in a team.
Of course.
However, let's not forget these players that we're talking about. Like I said before, maybe not experienced on a European national stage, but a lot of these players are week in, week out. Especially some of the top team, you know, the Arsenal, Cities, Chelsea. They've won things already. Like, I know it's different with England. You're playing with a different group of players, but you're not throwing kids in there. You're not throwing players that have not played at, you know, at the highest level. A lot of these players have played at the very, very top, winning trophies with the top teams in the WSL. So it's not, you know, you're not throwing loads of teams, you know, players in from tier 4. You know, I just don't understand this. Yes, you know,
say about tier 4.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
I don't know why I picked tier 4, but yeah, that whole thing of experience. Yes, you do need that, but you don't. You know, these players that we're talking about are not like inexperienced.
Absolutely. Listen, we're just going to look forward, just to round things off, to the Euros of the summer. Conor, I'll kick with you, mate. What are you expecting this? What are you expecting out of this tournament? Are you going to fully get behind England, or are you just going to take it like as a tournament? You know, you want to just be a part of, you know, just as a neutral and just take it all in and be proud that this country's actually got a major footballing tournament, because we always get often overlooked off the men's side of things, where we don't have. Yes, I know we've had the Euros, but I know we had the final at Wembley and the last sort of that Euros, where they're doing it, dotting it around all over the place, but wasn't exactly a proper home tournament, was it? You know, So, what's your feelings going into the Euros in the summer?
Oh god, I'm going to get shot here. I probably won't be supporting England. Obviously, I want them to win games.
So.
Obviously, I want them to. I want them to obviously to get far. I also, as well, I back Scotland in a lot of tournaments as well. Usually because they're underdogs, and a lot of obviously my family are up from there as well. So I do like to see Scotland go far. I know, and we've got a couple of United girls over there as well. So that's another reason to follow them.
And Kirsty Hansen.
Exactly, being one of them. Yeah, Matt's mate. So yeah, I think, yeah, I won't be, I'm not going to be, singing the national anthem and going, oh, it's coming home and all this. You won't find me doing any of that. However, the one thing you ask, what will come out of it and what I expect and all of that kind of thing. Like I said earlier, I expect it to grow women's football in this country. I think it will. Coming off the back of it, it's going to do a hell of a lot because it's not just the people in the stadiums. It's going to be on TV all summer. There's no other. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no other big sporting event clashing with it over the summer. So the main sporting event this summer is going to be the Women's Euro. So more people are going to watch it. So that's what I expect to come out of it. It's going to be positive. People are going to really enjoy it. And like I said, hopefully if England can get the full distance, then great for them. And I just hope off the back of it, obviously from a selfish point of view, I hope the United girls do well. I'd love them all to win it, but that's not going to be possible. But yeah, I hope they all have good tournaments, and I really hope. Well, I believe that the attendances and everything else will grow off the back of it. It's only going to be positive, I feel, from the back end of the Euros.
Matt, going on to you, pal. Did you expect the first game? It is at Old Trafford for the Lionesses. Did you expect that one because it's not down south, it's not down in the Midlands, it is down our neck of the woods, which don't really get an awful lot, do we, really, of England sort of internationals down our neck of the woods too much? Well, I know in the men's game, it always congregates down south at Wembley and all that lot. But do you expect Old Trafford to be sold, if not sold out, but, be near enough full to capacity going into that first game of the tournament?
I believe there's only 1,500 tickets left, so that should answer the question.
Boom.
But it does. I think that's one thing that bugs me, the lack of games here. Obviously, the men's has to be at Wembley. I get that commercially. Yeah. But here, it does my head in because the Northwest is the home of football. Everybody knows that, men's and women's. So I can't work out why there's only one at Old Trafford. But, I've got tickets to other games anyway. So for me, similar to Connor, obviously, yes, we'll be supporting the Lionesses, but I've got I've got all the league games. I think I've got the quarterfinals at Lee, the semis at Bramall Lane, and the final. So for me, it's just about getting to as many games and enjoying it as a home tournament as I can, and just experiencing watching different countries. I'm a big fan of the German Bundesliga, so if I get to watch some of them players with their countries, then great. If I don't, then not a problem. But yeah, just nice in it to have a home tournament you can get to that's very well priced. I'm trying to think. I think for all my games, it's not costing me more than £100. That's including the final, and we're talking 6-7 games there. And I think if that was men's, you'd probably pay close to £100 for one tournament game. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. The only thing I will say is, and I'm very surprised at Connor for this, is that there is a clash because Wimbledon's on at the same time.
I forgot about your tennis there, lad.
Yeah, I think Wimbledon. Now, Wimbledon. When does Wimbledon? I think Wimbledon finishes on the 10th of July as the Euro starts on the 6th. So there's a slight clash.
They're not too much, though. Not too much.
No, but anyway. But
where's the British Grand Prix in that July as well?
I was literally just looking for that.
Rob's going to Google's it. I'll keep waffling. Yeah, just saying. Looking forward, and yeah, I'm like you. Not going to go there with me air horn and me Anthony's painted face of lions on his England forever.
Yeah, but he's a southerner. He's going to go down full face painted England kit on.
It's coming home 22 England shirt as well, and whatever else he gets with his bloody flag and his horn. He's a proper. I don't know what's the word.
Yeah, he's a southerner. He's a southerner, mate. They all like it down there, don't they? They're all hardcore England fans.
Anyway, over to Connor and F1.
Yeah, sorry, Connor.
Yeah. No, well, yeah, 3rd of July, so it doesn't clash, does it?
Doesn't clash. Oh, that's all right.
But yeah, my point was just that obviously Wimbledon's every year. I was talking like the Olympics or a men's Euros or something like that. But yeah, it's only going to do good things, which is positive for the game as a whole.
I'm just glad that Old Trafford is near enough sold out. If there's only 1,500 tickets left, that's really good. I've only got the Old Trafford game, and for me and my son, I've got the Holland game, which was supposed to be Russia, wasn't it, down at LSV? So don't know who they're playing instead. So if there is going to be a team instead, but I've got that, and I've got the final, so I'm not doing too many. But I'm sure if some of the stadiums are not full anyway, you might be able to pick up on the day or online or something or whatever it may be. Because I can't see every one of them being a full sellout. But I know Wembley's sold out for the final, haven't it?
You say that all the games at Man City are sold out, and they're like Italy against Belgium.
Yeah, but they're playing a little ice cream tub though, mate. It's not very big, is it? I'm not surprised.
No, surely there can't be 8,000 Belgians. Well, there might be.
You never know, mate.
8,000 Italians, but obviously
those Italians do travel though quite well, you know.
Do you know what it is? I think they've all come from San Carlos, aren't they? In town, that'll be empty when you want a meal. They'll be in a council house.
Yeah. But no. To be fair, I echo the words of what you said. Really, I mean, listen, everyone knows my stance on the England national sides and the England fans, but I'm gonna go in there, experience the tournament, take my son to experience a little bit of the tournament. I would have liked to do a little bit more, but obviously, I was kind of hoping to save up for a pre-season tour for United, but I don't think I can afford Australia. As much as I'd love to go to Australia, I think I'm have to put that on the back burner. And it pains me that the women's pre-season, if they are going to go to Malta or wherever they're going to go, can't go to that either because the Premier League season starts. Jesus Christ! But anyway, I am looking forward to it. I'm not the biggest England fan, as you could test when we was down in the down watching the down at St George's Park watching the UEFA tournaments there, the under 18s or whatever it was, and I couldn't even string the bloody national anthem together properly. And was it Amy Palmer that was pulling that absolute face on that picture?
Up in Scotland, that not at St George's. That was up.
It was in Scotland, was it? Sorry, yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was the fact that there was probably about 15 fans there, and we were all singing the national anthem, and what we thought was like talking voice was a little bit loud, and they were all laughing. That was good times. Quite good times. That's the idea.
Fans
here now.
It's great times. But my final question, both though, is, and I'm gonna say it though. Pains me to say this: is football going to come home in the summer for the Lionesses? Connor.
Oh crikey. Yes, I'll say yes. I think we've got a good squad. That's not. There's a lot of good teams in this tournament. Let's not forget that. It's not going to be easy. But the only thing I think that will trip us up is, I know we've got a game. I think we've got a game against Netherlands as a friendly just before. But like I said, we've not played too many tough games at the moment. Obviously, I know that the Arnold Clark Cup was quite good. Played some tough teams there. But these friendlies and things like that, I'd like to see us just tested a little bit more before the tournament. So that might be the only issue. But I think they will. I think everything's kind of. I know I said this last year with the men's Euros, but I think everything's kind of aligning for kind of everything's just positive and leading into the tournament and Lionesses and all this kind of thing. And let's not forget, we've got a really good team. So we're talking about some of the under 23s earlier. There's a lot of quality in this England side. So yeah, I'll just say yes.
John Hume said, "Not a hope in hell, sadly." I thought, come on, John. I thought he was the biggest England fan that I know, mate. Come on, where's your enthusiasm? Matt, what is football going to come home for the Lionesses this summer?
No, not for me. No, I don't know why we had a conversation on this a while ago, but I said Germany, and I'm sticking with Germany. I can't even think what show it was, but somebody asked me the same question, and I said no. I said for me, Germany. Now, obviously, people say, "Well, Germany was in the Arnold Clark Cup. That wasn't a full strength German team." The Dutch being in there as well. I mean, I think the way it works out, we either end up with the Dutch in the semis. Yeah, I think it is. I think we'll end up with the Dutch in the semis if both teams progress that far. So, yeah, I think for me, Germany are my favourites personally. Everyone gets woefully obsessed with Sweden and Spain. I don't get it. I don't like it. I just think it's pathetic that they hype them like the better than the USA, and they're not. So yeah, for me, Germany's my pick. It pains me saying that as an Englishman, but
and you've got an England top on.
Yeah,
They just sat there saying Germany again.
I know, but the thing is, right? It's a balance between being stupidly biased and it coming to backfire in some absolute like little random just saying, oh, well, you said this, and then somebody will clip it or tweet me and give me aggro. Like, I'd rather be honest, you know what I mean? I'd rather give the viewers the honesty, even though I'm sat here in my England top and that's our biggest footballing rival, that my footballing head says we ain't going to win it.
Yeah, well, you know, it'll be interesting if Sabrine turns up in a Gareth Southgate waistcoat and then the whole nation's going up.
I thought you were doing that. You said you were doing that for the Old Trafford game.
I don't know. Well,
yeah, that was the bet. It wasn't.
This is the first word of this.
It was if Benny gets Old Trafford, he's coming in a waistcoat and a tie with his smart shoes.
A dicky bow.
A spinning one like Frank from EastEnders.
I mean braces as well. But no.
Oh man, you're
listen. Matt, I love nothing more than the Germany to win on English soil. That'll piss England fans off quite a lot. That I'm imagining that right now. That would make my summer. That
got a good side with good players. There's no harm in admitting that.
No. I'm not saying that. There's nobody going for the Dutch then, because everyone seems to fancy the Dutch. You know, with Jackie or just all the Jackie stands.
Jackie doesn't even score for the Dutch, mate. Let alone United. She just assists, and that's it.
Fair enough. Anyway, I think we've been blabbing on long enough now. Connor's got his dinner, or he has had his dinner for the last 20 minutes when we sat on the side there. So, as per usual, Matt, before we round it off, the usual stuff, the scheduling and all that lot, mate, what we got coming up? Oh, another... Well...
Sorry.
I just wonder what he said then.
Yeah, no, he's saying Brighton Greenwood centre-back pairing should tell you everything.
Can't defend,
That's why, for me, it should be Williamson at centre-half. Forget Greenwood. Don't need her.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry. So schedule will be out tomorrow. So will the weekly catch up. I think John's actually sold out Stourbridge for the first time in his entire life. He's
not
going to work.
Sold it out.
Sold him out as in he's like mugging them off.
Oh, no, I know what it meant. So that's what I'm surprised to hear that.
I thought he was lost in translation then, lad.
No.
He sold him out a bit like he did to a few of us last week when we stood lingering in the pub and he skipped off.
Didn't even say goodbye to me, and I was in the pub.
Well, you see, we texted me and Rob and got nothing back, and then apparently he was halfway home by the time we got there. An hour later, he'd thrown his chicken dinner down him. So anyway, so there will be some content. I'm pretty sure Barry was doing something for us on Stevenage like he normally does. I'm at FC with Gareth. I don't know if Connor's at a game, but there will be some content for local side. Connor's like debating it. He's thinking, without John, I'm kippered, but don't worry about it, mate. Go and enjoy it without him. And Teammates is out as well tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We're nearly at the end. I think this is episode 8. We've got 2 more after this, so coming to an end on that. But yeah, usual stuff when it's internationals. We go to local clubs.
Absolutely. If you can support your local team, get down there and support your local team. My local team's not playing, unfortunately, because they're all fucking playing for the Lionesses and whatever other country they're playing for, you know. Another boring international break. Anyway, Connor, are we going to Stourbridge tomorrow without Mr. Foster before we end the show?
John's going to shoot me. I don't know. I kind of want to.
No, he's selling them out as well.
because
in West Brom
this sounds great, doesn't it, on a women's football chat show? But F1's at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, so it's
it is as well, isn't it?
That's an early start. So
don't kick off till 2, mate. You'll be absolutely fine.
So I'm not too sure, but I'll decide. Me and Andrew will one of us will be there tomorrow. I'm sure.
If Red Bull win, you know he's going to be there.
Hey, mate, Ferrari's fucking flying, mate. I'm telling you, forget Red Bull. It can go much Stour or West Brom.
And speaking of flying without wings, we better, or whatever it is, flying with wings, we better get going. Thank you, John, for joining us. Thank you, everybody else in the comments for joining us. And thank you for watching live. And thank you to my great guests, as usual, Matt. And then for the first time ever on a Saturday Night Live, Connor, it's always a pleasure to have that lad on the show because, unlike me, he talks sense. Right, we're going to end it now, and we shall see you in the next one.
Cheers.